Oh, jeez.
Oh, look at that. We've got nobody waiting. Never mind.
Well, I haven't shared it yet because I've had some issues.
Build it and they shall come. Build it and they shall come.
I am building. I had to add our Facebook on it here again.
Oh, we got one in the chat there. Hello, everybody, or hello, that one person who's in the chat. If you would kind enough to say hello in the comment, I'll say hello, not being rude. And if you could say hello back, just so we know that we're broadcasting loud and clear, that would be brilliant.
What do you mean? You're not being rude. That. You're always rude.
Well, that is true. That is true. Oh, 2 people. Excellent.
Yeah, you two kind of blow the whole image of the polite British.
Well, YouTube does.
YouTube.
No,
YouTube. We do. Yeah. We're rude as hell. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to Simply Spooky. And it's obviously a Wednesday evening, and you will notice that we have got in the bar above Viv's head, the Spooky Show speaks to Daniel Lee Barnett. But as you can see, Daniel Lee Barnett isn't here, but we have William Becker, who was booked in previously, but Viv went and forgot. You know what? It's all Viv's fault. That's all you need to know. She's buggered up. She's buggered up royally, and any complaints, send it to her. But I'm sure she can deal with it. So so good evening, and hello everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Rita.
Hi.
Yeah. She never says hi to me, but she's in the next room.
Yeah, but she sees you all day, doesn't she? To be fair to the woman, she sees you sick of looking at you. She probably is.
Probably.
But where is she at the minute? Is she in the other room? Is she, bless her?
Yeah.
Hiya, Jason. I hope you're doing well, buddy.
Jason.
Mr. Hassler, I hope you're doing well, sir.
Hello, Jason. Hope the doggy's doing all right.
Yes. So we're here tonight. Myself, Eric, young William, and that's it, and young Viv. So and John sometimes, but John's not here as you can see at the minute. But I'm sure he'll make an appearance at some juncture. Dogs are good, excellent, Jason. I'm really glad to hear that. Brilliant job, excellent. Viv, did you want to say something?
Yes.
This evening.
I've got some sad news and some good news. The sad news is I want everyone to send some healing thoughts to our dear friend over there in Florida right now, who is a bit unwell. He's fighting a good fight. So if you could send some healing thoughts down Florida way or up or across Florida, wherever you are in America, just send them to Florida and send them to our good friend Bobby Osterholt. I can't pronounce his surname.
Osterholt, I think, Bobby.
Osterholt.
He's a lovely fella.
And his wife as well. So she needs it as well. She needs the strength to.
In fact, all his family. That'd be good, wouldn't it? All for his family. So So
that's the bad thing. But the good thing is we want to wish Richard Case and his wife Sarah a very happy wedding anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
I'm not sure how many years, but I've just called.
It can't be more than 5 or 6. He's only about 18.
Joker. He must be in his 80s by now.
Well, he may be. Yeah, possibly. It's possible. It is possible.
But yeah, happy anniversary, Richard.
It's amazing what you can do with an iron and a bar of soap. But yeah, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
All jokes aside, happy anniversary. And we hope you're having a very good time.
We do indeed. So, Viv, how's things your side?
Tell
everybody about your injury.
Well, I've got 2 hairline fractures in my hand. And that was an injury at work. And so it was just me being me. So I've been seen at the hospital, and I'm just carrying on. And then on Friday, I'm climbing Mount Snowdon with my son.
She is.
And the weather forecast on the ground at Mount Snowdon is rain.
It's Wales. It doesn't do anything else.
I'm going to be very soggy going up there. Soggy pants.
Hiya, Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
Well.
So, Catherine, if you were just coming into that, and I mentioned soggy pants, I'm climbing a mountain in the rain, which is why I'm going to get soggy pants. Not because I've got soggy pants. Just wanted to get that clear.
That's a
There
good
you
thing
go.
to clarify.
There you go. So, what are we going to discuss this evening? Because we were going to discuss stuff with somebody else, but obviously,
Well, we could discuss them with Mr. William Becker because he lives
he does.
in a capital of a Sasquatch area
Sasquatch
where
Central.
it's all squatchy round there where Mr. Becker is.
Yeah, there were lots of reports of activity
How you will?
not that far from me. I live in the valley, but the mountains are just a few 30 miles maybe they start.
Back at your work.
foothills, and then the big mountains are about 50.
Wow.
I woo. There's somebody on here called
Woo Rider's dog.
Woo Rider's dog.
DG. Is that? I read that as dog. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, but it's not. I don't. It's just DG, isn't it? I don't.
Well, I
But
was
God bless
wondering
back
too,
to you, buddy.
in Florida. Now I know there have been so many different hurricanes, tropical storms hitting parts of the South lately, and flooding, and I think Florida's been hit within the last couple of weeks. Part of it.
Wow.
I'm not sure if the newest storm's
Wow.
heading your guys' way or not, but I hope everybody's surviving all of that okay, all along the coast. I've been down that part of the world after hurricanes, and it's pretty incredible what the power of nature can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was watching one last night actually on YouTube. A guy was, I don't know what he was doing. He wasn't a storm chaser or anything. He was just a normal guy, and he was driving down. It's somewhere in the States. He was driving across some open land. Oh, not again. And that's my colour, isn't it? He was driving along the States, and this massive, this never seen anything like it. Terrifying. This tornado split into two. One went off that way, and the big part of it went that way, and then he thought he'd going towards it. Then all of a sudden, I thought I wouldn't do that. It's gone that way, so he's driving towards it, thinking to go through the middle. Then all of a sudden, it's come back on itself, and it's come on the road, and it's come towards him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, my word. And then there were a couple of young guys the other week that got caught in one, and they thought they'd follow it, and they got caught in the middle of it, and bless them, they were crying their eyes out, absolutely terrified. Only young guys. You know, we all do stupid things when we're young. Hiya, Richard.
It's definitely not Dan. Definitely not Dan.
I'm not normal. Who wants to be normal, Richard?
People in tornado country usually have a pretty good respect for them, but they pop up without any notice a lot of times.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They are so unpredictable about how they're going to move and what they're doing. It's really easy to get caught up in one unintentionally, and you don't always have any place else to go.
No,
if you've got a car and you're surrounded by fields and swamps, and it's just one road, you're stuck.
They were lucky. I mean, they were young guys. They were only probably 18, 19 or what have you. The three of them in the car, and they were, you know, they're like young blokes, always go, let's do this. And they were crying. They were literally, and I thought, I don't blame you. I'll be doing the same. They were crying, like praying and crying and everything. And luckily enough, thank God, it went around them, and then it went off. And I thought, but when they got out of the car, everything was flattened. There was nothing left. So I don't know. Why would you do?
Somebody was watching over them.
Why do people live there?
That country right after the tornadoes, and it's surreal. It's like a war zone.
Yep.
Why do people choose to live there though?
Where else are they going to live? I mean,
somewhere else, not there.
Well, it happens to be part of the breadbasket of the country.
Yeah.
And it's part of where we signed up, or got settled earlier. They're down by warm water ports. There's John.
There's John.
And there's only so much room in the. If you take out tornado areas, you're going to shove however hundreds of millions of us into a area that's probably not much bigger than Germany and France put together.
John, sit.
We even get them occasionally.
Yeah, so do
where I
we.
live, and they're not supposed
We get them
to
up
be
here now.
But the
climate's
changing. Tornado Alley is widening. So, you know, a lot of places that used to rarely get one get them pretty often, and some pretty big ones these days. So
imagine being imagine being one of the original settlers that went there, not knowing what to expect, and then you set up farm, and then all of a sudden one of them rips through. You wouldn't know what was happening. Would you think it was the end of the world?
Well, fortunately, this original settlers, for the most of them part, they were in sod huts, basically, which are mostly underground.
Yep.
Oh, did they do that on purpose?
Well, there weren't any trees in the middle of the Midwest. It's all prairie. Now, down in the South, that's different. There are lots of trees they built. Along the coast, lots of trees they built that way. But in the middle of the country, sod houses were an effective way, because they were warm in the summer, or warm in the winter and cooler in the summer, because it's cold and it's hot. But
I suppose as well, a lot of that land is probably prime farmland, isn't it? I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's good land, isn't it? So they're going to want to work it, whatever. But I wonder how many people lose their lives to those things every year. Too many. Even one's too many. Hi, Nicola. No, John Kitty.
Rita, how many times have I got to tell you? It's not John the Kitty, it's John the A-hole. Because he is one.
Are you, Bri?
William knows.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. One. Oh, I tell you what, I wonder what it'd be like doing, not because of people dying in it, but because of that raw energy. I wonder what it'd be like doing an investigation directly after one of them.
Well, I don't know.
With all that power and energy that it builds up. I wonder if that would increase activity.
Do you know what? When I was in Oregon, I went to it was long but very skinny, not very wide waterfall called Lateral Falls with William.
Oh, you said it's still gorgeous there, you said, didn't you? Yeah.
And I did a quick meditation right at the bottom on the rocks where the water hit the rocks. So it wasn't a river or a pond or anything. It went straight onto rocks, then went down, and then there was a bit of a pond. Right, so I sat there as close as I dare get to it, because the sheer power of it, you could feel the wind on your face. And I sat and meditated. Do you know, I could not open up at that place. I could not concentrate. I could not open my third eye or anything like that when I was close to it, because of the sheer power of it. Wow. Not because I wasn't trying, but because something spiritually was going on and was messing me up. The minute I came away from it a little bit and then opened up, I felt it was fine. Didn't get much, just felt at peace and felt at one with nature. But it's what I'm trying to explain is the power of nature, for me personally, interfered with me. I couldn't do any work when I was so close to it. It doesn't mean that other people couldn't.
Yeah, well, the enormity of the nature as a power is just nothing like it, is there? Nothing like it. It's just complete and utter, strength.
Well, this is just off the top of my head. But I wonder if the reason why was the need to stay more focused on the physical world around you when you're right next to that much power, instead of getting into the inner.
Do you know, that place,
I mean,
it's special. It's so special though, William. You know, we saw a few waterfalls there, but that particular one for me is so special. And it's not even a spectacular one, is it really? It is and it isn't.
Some of the other ones there, yeah.
No, but I love that
magic
one.
though, haven't they? Some places
that one is special.
Magic. I mean, they've all got nature's magic in itself, but some of them have got it stronger running through it,
Mm-hmm. Well, and they're all even more beautiful in the wintertime. That area gets cold and stays cold a lot, especially all the areas that are in the shade. And so you get more flow because of rain and such, but then you also get, from all the spray, you get these fabulous ice forms built up around them, and it's like a fairy tale land.
Ow, that hand hurt. Doing that.
That is one thing about it where I live. I mean, yeah, okay, we're due for a 9.5 earthquake any day, and we've got active volcanoes within 50 miles, and we get the occasional tornado or other storm, but there's such a variety in environment. I mean, I'm 2 hours from the ocean, an hour from ski resorts, 2 hours, hour and a half from the high desert, half hour from what's considered the biggest year-round waterfall range in the world.
You're right in the middle of it all, then, really. It's great. Sounds wonderful.
I wonder if it's
Sorry, Eric, say it again.
I said, I wonder if it's on a ley line. That's why it's different.
Could be that, couldn't it, as well? Could be that.
Well, they all take up their own influence and their own energy, just because, if nothing else, I think because of they each have their individual shape and form. I think there are different beings around each one. Call them the Fae, call them whatever you like. And I think that can be a part of it too.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Would you ever
I think you're right.
William, would you ever storm chase?
I have.
Would I ever, or have I ever?
Have you ever, and would you ever?
No. Our tornadoes, the rare ones we get, just pop up pretty quickly, and they're gone pretty quickly, which is good. And I've had them within 20 miles of me, but I haven't had one here.
You have had
20 miles is close enough.
You've had earthquakes, though, where the trees, the forest sunk into the sea. Can you explain to the guys about the sunken forest?
Well, actually, that's one of the ones that's really interesting. Part of the reason we know the timelines on the subduction zone earthquakes, which are just right off our coast, is because in 1700 there was a major earthquake and a big chunk of the coastline sunk. I can't remember how much, but during the right season, you see the tops of the trees still sticking out under the sand, under the beach. And the Native Americans didn't have any writing or whatever. They didn't have any time the way we do, but the Japanese do, or did. And so because of the tsunami that hit Japan and the damage it did and all the documentation about the exact time and place, we know to the minute as to when the earthquake was here and what the magnitude was. And it's
interesting,
it's fascinating
the
way that it's another sign of how connected, because it dealt a devastating tsunami into Japan. And there would have been, you have coastlines sinking tens, if not 100 or more feet. That's pretty devastating here too.
Yeah.
And we'll get another one. It's just, I don't worry about it. It'll happen when it happens.
Yeah, it's frightening though, isn't it?
Catherine says,
high school, we had a tornado that was literally off the scale. It was 3 F4 tornadoes circling 1 F5 in Alabama. The entire twister was a literal mile across.
Yeah. Well, and the storms are getting so much stronger with climate change too that they're thinking about putting a Category 6 for hurricanes.
Yep.
Because they're getting stronger than a Category 5 at times.
See, I would jump into one if I had a cape and a pair of underpants outside and some goggles.
I didn't hear
that.
You,
I believe.
I'm sorry.
I said I would go and chase one and jump into one if I could wear a pair of goggles, a pair of underpants outside, a leotard, and a cape.
Aha!
I don't even want
no oxygen tank or anything like that.
Nothing like that. They'll stand like that and hopefully get taken up.
I love it.
Wait, I don't even want to see you jump in a tornado. I just want to see you.
You don't want to see me in a leotard either.
I don't want to see him in one. Trust me.
I'll put you off your dinner, Eric.
How does your missus put up with you, Dan?
She just run cold water.
Run around town.
You want video of it, Eric? That's the picture I want to see. You don't, Carl. You don't want to see that.
Oh, I think Eric needs to join him in that caper, and they need to run around the street like Batman and Robin.
Me and Eric. Oh dear.
Won't be the weirdest thing that you see there. So
no.
We were talking before we went to air. We were talking about taking Eric when he arrives here to a known paranormal hotspot that had a lot of bad, what would you call it, dark magic practices.
Proper black magic was practiced.
Yeah, and it really screwed
negative
people
magic
up. Anyway, we were talking about going there, and I could just imagine turning up with Eric and Dan being in his Batman suit and Eric being dressed up as Robin.
Me and Eric running down the road going, no, Eric and Dan.
Eric, Dan.
Hey, well done, Eric. Good man.
Oh, dear.
What did she say?
She said, I'd like to see that.
You listen to those two very long, Eric, and your visa will be canceled very soon after you get there.
I believe it.
They'll say, we're sending you back to the States, Eric, and you got to take these two with you.
Do you know, America couldn't handle me and you, Dan, honestly.
I don't think America, I wouldn't wish myself on poor Americans.
Well, they don't understand how we talk for a start, Dan, and we'd get into trouble. We would get into trouble.
Oh, it's really weird. When I used to go to school, we had a kid who come over. I think his dad was Air Force. I think this kid, the American kid, but he was proper. He's a proper Native American. This kid, and they stuck him next to me in our biology. And he said to the teacher, "Can you move me?" He went, "I can't get any work done with him." He went, "I think he's mental."
Oh, William Southey's just said, study alchemy.
Yeah, no, he's right. It's all alchemy. It's all alchemy, isn't it? It's yeah.
But the thing is with alchemy, though, is I don't understand it. Alchemy to me is very confusing but I haven't looked at it properly to be fair. Maybe I should.
You have a look at some stuff by John Dee. That's good stuff. Well, William will tell you.
William would be able
he
to
knows it all.
Point me in the right direction with some books. No deep stuff to start with.
Catherine, what's that? But if we get a tiny wiggle under our feet, we should have it's like the end of the world.
And to answer Paul's question, I'm coming in August next year. So
that'll be good. Looking forward to that. Eric, sorry, your car was yes, that's cool. I wouldn't wish that on you, Catherine. I really wouldn't, mate. I'll bet you. How's it going out there? Because you still living in of course you're still living in Las Vegas. How's it out there on the strip and such? Is it good? You still enjoying it? Looks like you are.
Yeah, he's been here, there, and everywhere.
He's been all over that boy.
He's been travelling, hasn't he?
He's even been back to London. He didn't come and say hello.
You've been in Boston, haven't you, Carl?
Oh, good. I'm glad for you, mate. He loves it. Brilliant.
Oh, Mr. Farrell's in the house.
Yeah. Whoa, Mr. Farrow. Hope you're doing well, Ian. Good to see you, bud. I'm either an Aussie or people ask if I know the royal family. So many dodgy situations.
Oh, it depends on what part of the country you're in, Carl. I have a dear friend, or had one, that was from London, and they lived. She and her husband. She'd lived here for forever at this point. Lived in Marblehead, the old town, which is the largest collection of 18th century houses in the country. Their house was a new one. It was built in 1769.
Oh, nice.
And this is just, you go out and stand on the beach and look south and you see Boston. I mean, it's that close.
Wow.
And she was told often, go back to Britain, go back, because that's the heart of the Revolutionary War country.
Oh, you can expect
and
that
this
one.
was a town that did everything it could to keep outsiders from moving in. They tried to only sell the houses in the old village to locals. And now the newer part of town, that was different, but the old part of town. So if you get into some of the quainter New England styles or areas, that British accent might get you into more trouble.
Yeah.
Catherine.
We're going to get you on. We'll give you a heads up, Catherine.
Well, we were thinking of going all travelling together and doing a show from the David Oman house.
Yeah.
In California.
He's lovely, David Oman, isn't he?
Oh, he's a nutcase just like us.
He's mad. I love him.
Just,
mad.
But just American.
Like me.
No, that's fair enough.
No, it's fine. Look, William, just be you, okay?
Cool.
Wow. Why not, mate? Why not? Enjoy yourself.
Mm.
You'd love it here, Catherine.
You'd be all right over here. I'll tell you, my twin sister. Well, my sister. And that way we get away with it.
Don't say twins, she'd beat you up.
No, you know what I mean.
Sarah, honestly, David
He's
Oman,
nice, David, isn't he? He's a nice man.
He's one of the best. Honestly, one of the best. Come with Eric.
Yeah.
Eric and Rita, come over.
Oh, yeah. Love to see Catherine that as well. And William, when you coming over soon, hopefully?
When I get some money again. I spent it all.
Oh, it's all the way of the world, isn't it, at the minute? And nothing's getting any cheaper.
Well, I'm going to try and head over to Williams next year. Need to get some spondoolies together. I'm just waiting to see what Keir Starmer is bringing out in the budget and see if I'll be able to afford it. But yeah.
I keep telling people, I'm not being political, don't vote for any of them. Not one of them. None of them. They're all the same.
Vote for me. Vote for me.
They're all the same over here. They've all got their hands in it. They've all got their hands in each other's pockets over here.
Oh,
it's in China, the colour they are using properties in. Oh, what's that about then?
Have you looked at China? The colour they use on properties in China, just like opera colour.
Oh, okay. On the roof, her house. Oh, wasn't there something in? Where was that? They just had the big fires in America with a lot of money, right? Expensive. Yeah. Some of the buildings that weren't touched there, didn't they have red roofs or blue roofs or something? I wonder if that's like repels.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. Now, if you have something that's a non-flammable material on the roof, of course, as long as you don't have wood exposed underneath it. I mean,
maybe
if
that's
you've got
it then.
A clay tile roof, but you've got wooden eaves sticking out.
That's still going to burn, isn't
your
it?
clay tiles aren't going to do you.
Oh,
much
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's weird. All these buildings with certain colours on the roof, they weren't harmed at all for some reason.
No, I can't imagine. Now, a dark color on the roof would help absorb sun energy, and a light color on the roof would help reflect it.
Mm-hmm.
So the house would be a little cooler during the day with a light roof and a little warmer.
Unless what's happened is some of the houses that were blue were left, but there are a lot of other blue ones were burned. But because there's a few that are left with a blue roof, it's like, oh, look, this has been saved because of the blue roof or red roof or whatever, but not realising that a lot of them had the same colour roofs and a load of them are burned.
Yeah.
It could be. This is the first I've heard of it. And we do have houses with metal roofs, and people that are in real fire-prone areas are doing a lot to help to make sure that their houses are safer, because those flying embers get on roofs, and that's where a lot of it spreads. And so it could just be that they had metal roofs and made sure they didn't have anything flammable within easy reach of the roof. So I don't know. I can't imagine color itself. It has to be material.
No, it must have been something, mustn't it? It must have been something that's either repellent or what was that?
Yeah, we're getting to a point in parts of the western states where insurance companies are reevaluating. They can still insure.
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
Must say Americans are more serious about Halloween than we are.
Ooh.
Yeah, they are. They have a lot more. Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
tell you what, I'll go out the door and show you my next door neighbor's yard, and then you understand Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. How do you explain the umbrella, everything around it burned to the ground? Please look into it. Yeah, do you know what? Stuff goes on in this world we don't know about.
I don't understand what the umbrella around everything and all that is. I don't know what that's referring to.
Don't forget, guys, also fire burns in a very peculiar way. And St Elmo's fire is an actual thing that exists, and fire can jump and all that sort of stuff. So it could have been that the fire was burning in a computer.
I know fire burns in an unusual way.
So I'm just wondering if the umbrella had an effect on the way the fire actually burned.
Yeah, it could. Yeah,
and sort of left it alone, maybe.
I'll tell you one thing I did see the other day, which was interesting. I didn't know. I don't remember ever knowing it could happen. But a guy again out in the States, he was out taking his dog out in the walk into the woods out there into sort of, and he noticed some smoke, and he said they had an underground fire.
Yeah.
So somebody left a load of rubbish there, and then they'd left the fire, put earth over it, hadn't covered it properly. The rubbish had caught light, and all the stuff that was underground, it swept underground. So there was smoke and burning coming out around these trees, and they get to take the fire brigade out to put it out, and it was like thousands of gallons of water they used.
Yeah,
and it was terrifying. It's like fire underground.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing.
He's watching Bigfoot program. Are you watching Expedition Bigfoot?
Well, we're supposed to be talking about Bigfoot right now.
Well, no, you don't, Catherine.
We are,
yeah. We did go down a rabbit hole, yeah.
I like rabbits.
Interesting. So, Bigfoot. I was looking at Halloween. I'll be out with Barry Guy again to look forward. Oh, good luck to you, mate. A good one. Bigfoot. There was a guy I was watching the other day on a podcast, a very well-known.
It's an Elmo's fire now.
Oh, that's cool. Yes, Bigfoot. He was out in the. He's an expedition leader, and he's also a scientist. I can't think of the chap's name. I will get it. I will find it, I'm sure. But he was saying that he used to buy into the whole things that Bigfoots were definitely a solid, three-dimensional, living, breathing, if you like, physical thing. But he said that over the last few years, that's gone out the window with him, because there's been instances where he's seen them, and literally within a second, the bat of an eye, they've gone. And not to the point where they could get away that quick. So they've either disguised themselves or moved in and out of a dimension shift or what have you. But he seems to be going more towards the whole dimensional shift thing. So I found that to be intriguing from a guy that was ardent and adamant that this was a physical, three-dimensional living being.
When we interviewed the cast from Alaskan Killer Bigfoot. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, if you haven't, watch it on Discovery Plus. But we had lots of conversations before we went live on air and even afterwards. But our most striking conversations happened off air with the guy that was there for their security. He wasn't even a part of the expedition team, if you like.
They had a team conversation that we were involved in, didn't they?
Yeah.
They wrote about it.
listening to this guy who had no interest in it. He just wanted to keep them safe from other predators like bears. He didn't believe in none of it. And he said when he finished filming that first series, he believed it. And it's what he spoke about the trees, didn't he? Because he was with them. And he said he can't, he doesn't understand it, but the tree, this one old tree thing that was there that you'd see on it if you watch it, had a lot to do with it, and he believed that somehow, some way, the trees were connected to what was going on.
What did I say to
island.
You? I think the trees are I think the trees are the dimension. I think the trees are the dimension. I think they're moving through the trees. Well, I mean, I've got no backup for that. It's just a theory, but it seems very odd. And this whole thing where they say that before they arrive, even with these dogmen, take dogmen out of the equation for the minute, but particularly with the Bigfoots, a lot of people have said before they arrive, even hunters that are well versed in the wild, have said they've heard this amazing, like a tearing open of metal, like it was pulling doors apart and then closing them back together. Then these things would appear, and then they'd hear it again, and then they'd be gone.
Well, I know what I experienced, and I've got a few friends that have had firsthand experiences. I've never heard anything about the metal sound or dogman type stuff associated with Bigfoot. As you guys know, I'm a believer, but I'm a skeptic. I can't say something exists until I've had a physical experience with it. And I was on an expedition to explore. It was led by a friend of mine who has had years of experience, and anything from exchanging gifts to some fleeting visuals to a lot of things. And we were having activity around the camp that looked like it could be, things like there's nobody around, you're sleeping at night.
That's cool.
And they're like fingernails or a zipper type thing where it's like fingernails going across your tents, and bipedal footsteps in the camping area and stuff like that. But, nothing intimidating. Yeah. And we were out on one of the evenings, one of the nights, no flashlights. There was enough light that we could see, ambient light from the stars, because we were out in the mountains. We were not zillions of miles away from civilization, but we were away from everything, and it was dark. You could see hikers on the mountain across the valley, their lights and stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll let your iPad stand.
But I had a conversation with what seemed to be a family before I saw one, and one of the things that they told me was that they don't want hard evidence. They don't want pictures, because no good comes of man.
No,
they don't want proof of their existence.
I can't blame
them. Because of they don't want to be on people's, mounted on people's walls or in zoos.
And let's be honest, that's what would happen, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, Teddy Roosevelt reportedly, and I can't verify this, a lot of people I know who are usually not overly reactive to things say it's true, but he said supposedly he was actually looking for them and had planned on shooting one, and he couldn't do it when he saw one because they were too human. Well, the one I saw, they tell me that they are interdimensional and they come in and out, just like the Fae and a lot of these other, quote, mythical creatures. Well, because I've seen some of them as well with my own two eyes, including on this expedition and that night. Wow. I was at the end of the line. I'm a medium, and so I tend to be off in my own little world half the time anyway, and especially when there are all kinds of interesting things going on around me, which I won't get on into right now. But I saw what looked like it could be a Bigfoot behind a tree line a ways away, but the trees were moving a little bit, and this being was moving, it seemed like the opposite direction, walking back and forth, but I couldn't be sure, so I didn't say this is a Bigfoot. Coming back, there wasn't a breeze, and he was standing out in front of the trees. The trees weren't moving. He was walking back and forth, and I watched him for quite a while. Probably less than a minute, but I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And basically sent a telepathic message of thank you, because I think he wanted me to see, because he trusted me. And then it was like, okay, I know they exist now. You don't have to do this anymore. Just get on with it and leave them alone. And so I did go back with that group and one of my friends the next year, because this friend of mine wanted to go. He's a photographer, and he actually had a pebble thrown at him as we were leaving. And there was no human around that could have thrown it. So
it's amazing.
I've got a thought, guys. Right.
Is it lonely?
If we go back to the Book of Enoch and the origins of evil and all that sort of thing, and where it all began, apparently. And they talk about the Nephilim, about the giants. Do you think the Bigfoot are these giants that were mentioned?
A lot of people think that, don't they? A lot of people, I think along those lines. I don't really know. I mean, all I would say is that I think they're supernatural. I think that they're like William says, I think they're probably part of the Fae or something like that. They're, but from what I can make out, I mean, there's quite a few people have said that they've engaged with them and found if they live on their property and they share the property with them, then they're quite, so long as they show that you put gifts out for them and stuff like that, they become perfectly acceptable and they're fine with you. And there was one guy was saying that his family's little girl saw them a couple of times and they knew that they were around, but she'd actually seen them properly. So they sort of stood there and looked at the little girl and no, nothing nasty. And she was okay with them. And they said what they did, they wanted a bit of privacy because where they lived was in the woods. And they pulled their curtains during the day. He said, but they were so clever, these beings, that what he didn't realise is they had what do you call them, skylights. So, but they had trees overlooking the skylights. So they would see them climbing in the trees and looking down into the skylights, looking at what they were doing. But he said there was no malice there. It wasn't that they were looking to cause any problems. They were just interested. And they clearly knew these people weren't going to hurt them because they would leave gifts for them and stuff like that, and vice versa.
There was a discussion on one of Grizz's show where his guest was talking about somebody who'd left gifts out for the Bigfoot, and where it started as a genuinely nice thing and a nice interaction. He'd leave a gift, he'd get a gift back, Bigfoot would come back, and then there'd be another one with them. And the gifting went on for some time. And then when he got sick in hospital, the gifting stopped. And then when he came out of hospital, they turned quite aggressive because there was no gifting anymore. So do you think like gifting could be like, if you have to be careful because we don't know what they are. We don't know. They could be like animals that would turn on us if we not for having bad intentions, just the way this happened to this poor guy.
That they're part animal, at least. Okay. Now, Dan will tell you the same thing I'm going to tell you. You don't feed wild animals. Period.
No.
I do.
No. I think the thing is as well that a lot of it seems to be they say, well, this bloke got attacked by one and that man got attacked by one. He was murdered by one. He was attacked by, and you think, okay.
What did they do though to deserve it?
Exactly. I'm getting one side of the story here. Did you try and shoot at one of them? Did you shoot one of them? What did you do? Because to be honest with you, if you pulled a gun on me and I was built like that,
Yep.
I would be very happy.
No.
Because there's been instances of people saying that one guy said he had a gun. He saw one was hiding behind a tree, had a gun. It's about 200 yards from him. He said, and he something told him lower the gun, and he lowered the gun, and then this Bigfoot just stuck his head out a bit further, looked at him, turned around and walked off. And he felt that it was, if he'd have lifted the gun, that it was like a warning from the Bigfoot. But it was like telepathically sent to him that if you point that at me and you shoot at me, that's your lot.
Stop. Everyone stop.
Hey, Chantel, how you doing?
His girlfriend's in the house.
How you doing, Chantel? How you doing? Well, are you healed now, or are you still suffering? Oh, you're back at work. Just gifted them Christmas birthday.
Yeah, a Bigfoot's not just for Christmas, you know.
Oh, poor Chantel.
Well,
hope you're doing well, Chantel.
A Bigfoot.
I think what you do in a case like that, though.
Apart, one ripping a bear apart.
Yeah, I saw a guy as well. He's a parapsychologist, and he was doing an English parapsychologist. And they were doing a thing with there was an American guy there, and he said that somebody mentioned that one had walked out on their porch. And the first thing this guy went to, bearing in mind this is a guy who's a paranormal researcher, the first point that he went to was, didn't you get a gun and shoot at it? And the parapsychologist said, why would I shoot at it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think now going back to the one with the gifting, I think you do with them like you do with most paranormal beings. You have a conversation and explain what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you get back and say, leave a gift and say, I'm sorry. Just say it out loud out there. I was in the hospital. I was sick. I couldn't be here.
Yeah.
And and that solves the problem because they don't know. They
no.
You know,
Guys,
they consider us wild animals too. And as far as the killing of humans and stuff, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
No.
These shows and stuff say all this.
Guys, just quickly, we're going to have a guest on for a little while. Jonathan Downs is going to join us, but he also has Richard Freeman with him. He's just come back from an expedition.
Okay, jolly good.
So, William, you're going to have to probe him.
Okay, getting
about
there.
the
Just some delayed side effects, but nothing to. Oh, thank God for that, Chantel. I'm so glad.
Yeah, so am I.
We were worried about you, you know.
So sorry, carry on with what you were saying. He'll be on in about 3 minutes.
Sorry, that was William. Sorry, William, what are you saying? Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, you know, communication is important, and somebody says this here and somebody says that there. That doesn't mean a thing to me.
No.
I need a lot more evidence and proof than that. People say anything for attention and ratings and everything else, and I'm a bit skeptical about. I always look, okay, what's the real motive of what's going on? And if you're looking at television, it's profit.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean there aren't some great people doing wonderful
work
work on these programs.
There's always good people amongst the
the
chaff, as they say.
But what comes out at the end, who knows? I'm just saying I need something independent other than...
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can see up your nose, Richard.
Hi.
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Not so bad. How are you?
You're not, Catherine. You're brilliant.
Oh.
It's all gone dark.
It's all gone dark over there. Someone's not paid the electric.
That reminds me.
You got to pay your electric?
That's the West Country, though. It gets darker earlier there, doesn't it? It's because their oil lamps have run out.
Their oil lamps have run out. Oh, that is so funny. I just told Catherine off.
What's Catherine said? Oh, no, what's she? That raccoon. Oh, raccoons are cute, but
they are so cute. They are the cutest things.
I've got a scar on my head where I had to have stitches because of a bloody raccoon.
Wow.
I was spinning around the enclosure with a rack, a lot of Davy Crockett hat on my head. It was cute though.
They are
His sister,
so
his
cute.
girlfriend was cute.
You let one in to drink some milk and they'll destroy your house.
Yeah, they're a nightmare, aren't they?
Yeah, I know a lot of people. We have a lot of raccoons around that come into yards and stuff, and they may be so cute, but they can be pretty mean.
They can.
Do you know what,
They
Dan?
are wild animals.
Exactly.
Eric, William told me off when I was at his house because I sat in the back garden to have a cigarette, and this squirrel used to come run along his fence in the morning. I used to try and encourage him to come and visit me. Come on, right, I'll go.
It's John Downs, Mr. Downs.
Well, some of the squirrels we have dig under the houses.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Downs.
At the bottom.
No, I didn't see it.
Rude.
Oh my God, we got feedback.
Okay.
Well, that sounds like 1970s.
Oh, bloody machine. It's wicked, you managed.
That's why I got two things on.
Bloody hell. Brought your twin with you.
It's funny.
We've got him in stereo.
Tell him to take it into another room.
That's not going to work. Try getting over there, which is the other side of the room. Hello?
Hello.
Hello? That's better.
Hello?
Is it?
Got an echo, but it's all right.
There you go. We'll work with the echo.
God, machines like conservative.
What was that?
Machines vote conservative. Let me have that, Richard. I'll do something else. Machines vote conservative. I tell you what the problem is. It's the iPad thinking for itself. And I hate machines that think for themselves.
21st century in technologies.
I know that.
It does sound like it's Space
It does,
99.
It does what I thought. Exactly what I was thinking. It's like a 70s space program.
Aliens are
Special
coming.
effects.
I think it sounds like Hawkwood when you're on acid.
Do you know what, Carl? I reckon we could get spirits talking through this reverberation we got.
One. Hello?
Hello.
Fucking bloody shit.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Jonathan.
Is that better?
It is.
What?
Can
Is
you
it not?
hear us, Jonathan?
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, we hear you.
Can you hear me without a...
I can hear
Yes,
you.
We hear you.
Yes.
There's a little bit of a reverb, but... Oh, it's all back now.
And now I'm going to start calling Dumbledore. Thank you.
Well, I feel completely stoned, my dear, with this. Does anybody know how I can mute the volume on my iPad?
Dan?
There should be a thing at the bottom, like a little panel that says mute.
Mine says mute.
Mute.
Hello?
Hello.
Well, that's better than it was, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's still saying, but Richard, here we
Are you on the International Space Station, Jonathan?
Good one.
No, well, apparently we're Harry Potter.
Mm.
So, which one are you, Viv?
I don't know. Chantel, you're going to have to tell me which one I am. But you got Jonathan as Dumbledore.
Yes.
You got Richard as the evil one.
Oh, yeah, he was sure not be named.
Him that should
I
not be
can't
named.
think of his name.
I want to be one of the baddies. I like being a baddie.
Oh, who's the best looking one? That'd be me.
The best looking one? I don't think so.
That'd
I'm
be
the
me.
one I'm obviously Harry with my boyish looks.
You're Harry. You're a wizard, Harry.
This is very silly.
Right. Can we get onto some serious stuff now, right?
Yeah.
Richard has been out on an expedition. How did it go, Richard?
Oh, hi. Yeah, we went to Tajikistan, which is a country in Central Asia, mainly to look for the Caspian tiger. And we went along the two forks of the Romit Valley, mainly the lower or eastern fork. And we talked to a number of people that had seen tigers. We talked to two guys that had seen them within the last year up in the mountains, and a shepherd we spoke to had seen one in the same valley we were in when we were there, but it was 2 hours drive further down the valley. And he said his dogs were going mad at 12 o'clock at night, so he came out of his tent and saw them all round a tree by torchlight, and shining his light up into the tree, he found that the dogs had treed a tiger. He called his dogs off, and the tiger came lunging down the tree and then ran off into the darkness. The Caspian tiger is supposed to have been extinct since the 1960s, but this is our third expedition out there, and we've talked to loads of people that have seen them, including hunters and farmers and beekeepers who all work out in the mountains, in the valleys, and even a park ranger we talked to on our first expedition who'd seen one a month before we were there. So we're hoping to go back again. We put out bait and traps to photograph them, but nothing touched the bait. So we're thinking of going further down the valley next time to where the shepherd had his encounter.
Did you personally see any evidence of them being did they leave any evidence?
Hold on a second, guys. First of all, Richard, I think you better explain the significance of these particular tigers.
I already have.
Did you? What, when I was trying to...
Yes, I already have explained it.
And the other bit is, can I have the link to give people to watch the show, please?
Yeah, sure. Hang on.
Right. Carry on there.
I've not seen evidence of them myself. I've talked to a lot of people that have seen them and seen them recently, but it's not like the orang pendek where I found the tracks and the handprint and the hair and heard it calling from 20 feet away.
Dan, have you got any questions? Because you're
that orang pendek, Richard, did the hair that you had? Did you send it off to analyse?
Yes, yeah, it was analysed by a scientist from Copenhagen called Lars Thomas, who's an expert in animal hair, and he said, looking at the scale arrangement of it and the colour of it, it was related to the orangutan, but it wasn't an orangutan. So it was related to the Sumatran orangutan, but it was a different species. So it's most likely an undiscovered species of orangutan, but one that lives on the forest floor and walks upright like a man, rather than living in the trees.
It's interesting, isn't it? I know. I was watching a couple of documentaries recently, and there was a couple. There's an English guy who was out. I don't know if he was out on an expedition or what he was doing out there. I'm not sure. He said that they'd seen one, and it was sitting at the bottom of a tree, and it just ran when it saw him. And there was another guy who was a native out there, and he said that he'd seen one sitting just on the lower branch of a tree, and when it saw him, it ran off. And I saw what looked like to be video of one, but again, like this video, it was grainy, but it looked to be sort of, I don't know, third of the size of an orang. So it was quite a small looking creature.
Was this the thing that they film when they're on the motorbike and it runs off the grass? Yeah, that's not an orang pendek. Orang pendek is much bulkier than that and much hairier. That might be what's called an orang cardil, because there's a second mysterious creature out there, and they seem to be a race of tiny little pygmies.
It was more like a person, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It looked more like a little person than it did.
And one theory is that they're related to Homo floresiensis, the hobbit people that they found on the island of Flores.
That might be interesting.
Very similar, because similar creatures have been, similar fossils have been found in the Philippines now as well. So all of those islands there might have similar species living on them. But there's a new documentary on Netflix. If you go on to, sorry, not Netflix, Amazon Prime. If you go onto Amazon Prime, there's a new documentary that I've taken part in called Bigfoot Around the World. And
okay.
I talk about my expeditions looking for Orang Pendek and the Yeti in northern India, and the Russian Almasty, and the Tajik wild man, the ghoul as well. And if you've not seen it, there's another one that we did a few years back with a French filmmaker called Christopher Killian, called On the Yeti Trail, which was mainly about my work in Sumatra, but it also looks at Bigfoot as well, and the Russian wild man. So that's Bigfoot Around the World and On the Yeti Trail, and they're both on Amazon Prime.
I'm gonna have to have a look at that.
Oh, yeah, I have.
So these islands, Richard, are they sort of dense enough and sort of populated enough with vegetation for these animals to go missing in to go off, and they're that vast?
Kerinci Sabak National Park in Sumatra is the size of Wales.
Oh yeah, they're big enough then.
Jungle. And then there's jungle in lots of places in Sumatra. We tend to go further south in Sumatra now. And the Philippines, there's loads of jungle there too. We're hoping to get out to Flores at some point, to the eastern end of Flores, where there are reports of something like Homo floresiensis surviving in the mountains there. There's a great book by an anthropologist called Gregory Thorpe, and it's called Between Ape and Human, and it's about his investigations into it, because he was one of the people that were looking at the folklore of the people on Flores, and they talked about these race of little hairy pygmies that hunted with bamboo spears and killed livestock and stuff. And then they discovered Homo floresiensis, and it matched up really well with the descriptions from folklore of these little people. And they're supposed to still be seen on the east of the island, even recently.
Wow.
That's interesting, isn't it?
There's something I find particularly interesting about the Flores people. I think we've got to call them people rather than creatures, don't we, Rich?
Well, they're the genus Homo. They're not Homo sapiens, but they're the genus Homo.
Isn't there a story, well, I know the story, about how the local people, the local tribesmen, herded them into a cave?
Yeah. What happened was, according to the folklore of the of people on the west of the island, these creatures, they called them Ibu Gogo, were killing livestock and stealing their crops. So what they did was invite them to a great banquet where they got them drunk on palm wine. And when they went back to the cave, they blocked the cave up and set fire to palm fronds outside of it and smoked them to death. But some of them were supposed to have escaped from another entrance to the cave. But interestingly, the date on that more or less matches up with a volcanic eruption in the area. So if there was a volcanic eruption in the area that wiped out the local population of these things, it could have turned into this folkloric story of them being smoked.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it was true, it just brings to what William was saying earlier, that no good comes of man, and that's just proved it in these folklore tales that we're killing everything we don't understand.
This motif of catching them in a cave and smoking them to death is widespread across Asia. In Sri Lanka, there were supposed to be little people called the Natiwio, which were very similar. And there's a story about the local tribesmen blocking up their cave and setting light to it and smoking them to death, almost exactly the same.
And there is also a similar story. There is a similar North American story about pugwatches.
Oh, we have lots of those where I live.
Yeah, and the fact is that this motif of local tribes and killing these creatures off because they are a nuisance, but doing it exactly the same way. It's on 2 continents and on at least 3 different places, and I'm sure I've heard of it from somewhere else as well.
Yeah, there's a similar story about monkeys being a nuisance and they're being smoked to death like that as well. I think it's from
makes
India.
sense to me because that would be something that all of them would have had access to doing pretty easily. I mean, it just seems like it's a simple. I don't mean this to sound harsh, but it sounds like this would be the normal thing. Oh yeah, they live in caves. We've got smoke. Easy, because that's a great way of doing mass murder when you don't have mass murder guns or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, but I've never heard these stories before. It's fascinating. I think it is interesting though, like the one with the volcano. I think it would be interesting to see how many other natural phenomena were taking place on these other continents too. That could explain some of that.
They're thought of as being very different from orang pendek. They're smaller and much less hairy and much more human-like than orang pendek.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Are you going to be writing up about your trip, or are you filming for something, Richard? Or
we filmed some stuff over there that we're going to put up, and I'll be writing it up for Animals and Men.
Animals and Men, for those of you who don't know, is our journal.
Yeah, I was going to say you'll find that on the CFZ website or
and on Amazon.
Journals.
All good booksellers.
All good booksellers, all good, and some not good booksellers. Oh, yeah.
I might be returning to Tasmania as well to get back on the track of the Tasmanian wolf.
When are you going? I'm coming with you.
It's not confirmed yet, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, I'll come and carry your bags. That'll be fine.
Do you have a big suitcase, Richard? Because Liz wants to hide in it.
No, I'll just carry his bags. Well, make sure the bags have got wheels on them so I can just drag them along behind me.
Like them on them ocean liner trunks they could put you in, like the Marx Brothers did, the brother. They got on a ship.
No, it's really interesting though, the Tasmanian tiger, because when I first met you, Richard, it was when I listened to one of your talks and you spoke about that, and you had me right there. I was just hooked just listening to that and that alone. So it is one of my favourites to be honest. So getting out there would just be amazing.
I make a point of never calling it the Tasmanian tiger.
I'm sorry.
The thylacine or the Tasmanian wolf, because it's a flesh-eating marsupial, but it's an example of convergent evolution with a dog family, not the cat family.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's the one most likely to exist. I think I've even smelled it. It had a very distinct smell. It's supposed to be like a hyena. And one time when I was in the wilds of Tasmania, in the west of the island, in a remote area along a path in the forest, I got a smell exactly like the smell of a hyena, like it had just gone past, a few moments before.
Was it that pungent smell? I used to work with hyenas. Yeah.
What's it smell of? What is it smell of?
There's no other smell like it, really. You can't really describe it. But the smell. So if you smell a hyena at the zoo, you'll know. The thylacine.
Like a pooey smell.
No,
it's a musty, sort of pungent, strong.
It's almost a chemical smell, isn't it? It doesn't smell like what you'd expect an animal to smell like.
I'm just saying that because Bigfoot's supposed to smell as well. Is there a connection between?
Well, a lot of animals smell. Some will do it defensively, like skunks. They spray. Some just have a natural musty smell, and some like right-wing politicians just stink to high hell because they're burning.
It's like the walls, like what's it, epinephrine and sebaceous glands, isn't it? They can activate those to create.
I
that
think
smell.
Nigel Farage has got those active sebaceous glands.
I think everybody in Parliament and around Parliament has. Anarchy rules. Let anarchy rule the day. That's what I'm in favour of.
There's also a possibility. I'm currently in discussion with a French filmmaker, and we might be doing a series if we can get it off the ground. It's looking good, but these things, I never trust them until the ink is dry on the contract. But there's we might be doing a series looking for the world's biggest crocodiles.
Oh, nice.
To
nice.
Africa, Australia, Asia, looking for giant Nile crocodiles.
That would be cool.
Would you be one of these people that, would you dare to, when they jump on top of the crocodiles to subdue them, to tie their schnoz up to make it safer so they can look at it properly? Are you the type of person that would do that?
Yes, if it was for a reason, not just for show. If you were moving the crocodile from one place to another, and I used to.
What about for research purposes?
You what?
Well, for research purposes, to measure and all that sort of thing.
But with
you were a herpetology people, weren't you?
You're not going to jump on the back of them.
Richard.
Ones these size, you have to measure with something like a laser rangefinder or drones, or you have to go and measure where they were lying in the mud.
It's always Richard's ambitions to be the first cryptozoologist to be eaten by a cryptid.
Look, it's probably better if you lose a leg or a hand to one. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, then you could have a hook on, which is because this sort of piratical image.
Yeah.
It's like a guy I saw the other day. He had
to change it.
An Australian guy. He was out swimming in Australia, obviously, and a shark had come and had bitten his leg off. Yeah. But what they'd done, it was from the knee, so they rounded it off. And what he'd done is he had a shark's head tattooed on the knee, and it looked like a shark. It looked like a proper shark, and it's where his leg was left. It's really cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was very cool, I thought.
But he couldn't get a crocodile hand. That would just look too silly.
The exposition Richard's got coming up, is in the planning stage, that I'm personally most excited about, is the one to Irumoti.
Oh, tell us about that if you could, please.
That's very early stages of planning.
It's been in very early stages of planning for about 4 years.
Well, we've wanted to do it. We might have the cash to do it now. It depends. But Irumoti is an island on an archipelago south of Japan. It belongs to Japan, and it's this tropical island. The human population is quite small, and there's supposed to be an unknown cat there, about the size of a medium-sized dog, striped like a tiger. Nobody knows what it is. I think it might be a dwarf island form of the clouded leopard. But no one's ever looked for it. We'd be the first people to do a proper scientific expedition looking for it.
And of course, they did find one new species of cat on Irumoti already.
Yeah, in 1969, there's a Irumoti wildcat, but this is much, much bigger. It's sort of the size of a border collie.
And that was discovered as recently as 69.
No, the smaller one was.
The smaller one, yeah.
Yeah, but this bigger one is still a mystery.
The interesting thing about Irumoti culturally as well, it is the furthest, it's the southernmost island that's properly populated of Japan. There are a few islands and islets further south that have got half a dozen fishermen living on them, but this is the furthest south that there's a proper permanent population. And it's nearer to Taiwan than it is to. It's nearer to Taiwan than it is to mainland Japan. And Taiwan, of course, is where very recently it was found that their race of the clouded leopard, which was thought to be extinct, the Formosan clouded leopard, was found to be still alive, wasn't it, Rich? And that
Yeah.
was last 5 years, something like that.
That's interesting.
But if it does turn out that this is a new race, or even a subspecies, or God, I'm praying to all the gods of crypto-investigative theory, a new species of clouded leopard, it asks more questions than it answers. Because until very recently, it was thought there was one species of clouded leopard. Then, within the last 15 years, since I've been living up here, anyway, the last 15 years, it was discovered that there are actually two species of clouded leopard. There's the mainland clouded leopard and the Sunda clouded leopard, which is the one that lives in all the islands of what used to be Sunderland. And I don't mean the bit up in the north of England. Richard, what islands have got clouded leopards on them?
Sumatra, Borneo, Formosa.
Not Java.
Yeah, I think they're on Java as well.
Much of my surprise, there were no leopards on
Sumatra.
Sumatra
has
got
no
no
leopards. It's got
leopards.
tigers, but it's got no true leopards. It's got clouded leopards, but not true leopards.
But what I want to know is if it does turn out this is a new subspecies, a new population anyway, of clouded leopards, what species are they? Are they the mainland ones, or are they the Sunda ones? And if they're the Sunda ones, look at your map. There's such a long distance between Taiwan and any of the Indonesian islands. If it is the Sunda subspecies, how the bloody hell did it get there?
Or it could be something completely unknown.
Or it could be something completely unknown, a completely unknown subspecies, a completely unknown dwarf species. And the one thing that I really hope it is, although I don't think it's very likely, but Richard said that the accounts of these medium-sized cats from Iriomote have been described as being striped.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, and let's just make believe for 5 minutes, a dwarf island form of tiger? Because, for reasons Richard explained to me earlier, do you mind doing it again, which island dwarfism?
Yeah, when animals go to islands, weird stuff happens. Small animals get bigger because there's less competition, and in some cases there's no predators. So that's how you get the giant tortoises from Galapagos and Aldabra and things like that. You used to get giant dormice and giant rabbits on some of the Mediterranean islands at one time. And big animals get smaller. So you get dwarf elephants. You got dwarf elephants on the Mediterranean islands as well. And lots of animals get smaller, like the now extinct Bali tiger was on a little island called Bali, and it was smaller than all the other tigers because there's not enough resources there to support big predators, so they get smaller.
And we've just been making a video about mammoths in which we are fairly uncomplimentary about the idea that mammoths still live in the steppes in
Russia.
Siberia.
Yeah.
But did you know the last known population of mammoths, they were on an island,
Wrangel Island.
Island in the north of Russia, only about 5,000 years ago, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, but they were a dwarf. Were they a separate species?
No, they were a dwarf form of the woolly mammoth.
Yeah. Oh. Which I find totally fascinating.
That's just blown my mind.
And the last British wolves probably were on an island, I can't remember what it was called, off the west coast of Ireland.
Scotland.
And they were a dwarf.
Scotland was the last ones in Britain, wasn't it?
Nah.
17.
Everybody claims they got the last wolves shot in Britain. Probably the last ones were in Ireland, but the last ones in Ireland were probably on this island off the coast of County Kerry, I think, which were, so you had dwarf wolves.
You know, I was very lucky to hand rear the first wolves born in England for 600 years. First European wolves, the Canis canis.
Oh, where was
Canis
that?
lupus.
I did it at Paradise Wildlife Park. I used to work with a guy. Used to own it. It was like it's an indigenous zoo. It was kind of, I use it loosely. It was indigenous to the point. It was in Kent. It was called Wildwoods, and it was a Scots guy who used to run it. I can't think of his name now. A lovely guy, and he opened up. Was originally an indigenous zoo, so it was obviously stuff you'd expect. But then eventually put wolves in there, European wolves that he brought back, the same species as they used to have here. And then he wanted to bring bears and stuff. So I mean, it was kind of loosely indigenous. I mean, he could have gone back far enough. You could have put anything in there. But yeah, he brought some over from. He rescued them from the fur trade that was going on in Transylvania at the time, of Romania. Another project that I worked on later, which was the Carpathian Large Carnivore Project in Romania, with Christoph Promberger, who was the lead scientist there. I worked there for quite a while. But he got them from him, and then they bred over here. So they were the first lupus to be born over here 650 years in England. So, yeah, and I got one of the first cubs.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was amazing. It just blew me away. It was just, amazing. So I ended up with 3 of them in the end.
He used to work with Maxine.
Oh, yeah.
So Christoph.
Yeah.
Lovely man. Barbara, his wife. She was a lynx biologist.
No, Maxine, blonde girl from the.
No. Barbara was Christoph's, or is Christoph's wife.
No, he said that he worked with Maxine.
He was saying. Oh, she worked with He worked with Maxine.
You
did.
Oh yeah, sorry, I thought you meant that was at the UK. That was at the UK Wolf Conservation Trust.
Jesus, Dan! It's usually Viv who's the dentist.
Yes, Maxine at the UK Wolf Conservation Trust. She was there. That was at Beanham Farm in Reading. That was owned by, what was his name? Palmer, Jeff Palmer. Jeff Palmer, I think it was.
And now she's both divorced and dead. I can admit that she and I had a very long-standing relationship and were very, very close.
She was lovely.
Oh, she was a darling.
She was a lovely lady.
Cheese, which completely mad. But
best type of people.
Listen, guys, I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, I'm going to make a move.
We love you, have we?
I've got to go and collect my son from the station because I am doing a walk up Mount Snowdon on Friday, and
We're
it's
not allowed
raining.
to call it that anymore.
Rather you than me.
I'll share it, Catherine.
But I want to continue this conversation with Richard, Jonathan, and William. Eric's got no choice, and neither has Dan.
Eric's stuck with it.
So would you both come back and do like a proper show and a more in-depth conversation?
The trouble is, Richard's, and I'm not being nasty to dear sweet Richard, who I love dearly, he is about as technologically adept as a spastic monkey.
So he's more adept than I am, then. You're more adept than I am, Richard.
Yeah, but we tried to get Richard. Richard doesn't live here. Richard lives in Exeter. I live in North Devon. He's here doing some video stuff with me for a few days. It would be better, I think, if you don't mind me countermanding you, Vivian. Richard's going to be up here again relatively soon because we're getting all the footage from the other people's cameras uploaded. So when we've got all the footage from the expedition, from all 3 people's cameras, because we've only got Richard's at the moment, then he's going to come up here so we can edit together a show about it.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure it's on a Wednesday so we can do it like this.
That'd be great.
Is that right with you, Richard?
Yeah, fine.
Well, thank you.
There's just so much that I need to ask Richard, but we haven't got enough time to do it, to be honest. It's going to have to be a 2-part special. 2-part special it's going to have to be. But before we go, I want to know, what were those programs you said again that's on
Yes.
Amazon?
Yeah. There are two. The new one is called Bigfoot Around the World.
I'm going to write this down.
On Amazon Prime. Bigfoot Around the World.
Yes.
On the Yeti Trail.
I spelled
Have you got
Bigfoot
someone there
wrong
spelling
there.
it for you, Viv?
No, look, I spelled it wrong.
No,
do you know what?
Dan, I'm glad you joined in with me in the taking the piss out of video.
It had to be done. On the Yeti Trail, excellent. Bigfoot around the world, excellent.
Right.
Thank you.
And Richard has two new books out. He has one that's called The Highest Strangeness, which is published by CFZ Press and is available on Amazon or through the CFZ website. And the other one, Richard,
is called Creatures That Eat People. I'm not responsible for that title. The publishers forced me to call it that. I wanted to call it Beasts That Prey on Man, but they came up with that completely fucking retarded.
Oh, I must admit, I prefer yours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Creatures That Eat People.
Yeah.
That's a fucking awful title.
And it's volume 1 of a 2-volume set on man-eating animals. And the other one is The Highest Strangeness, which is about high strangeness, 14 cases, monsters, ghosts, UFOs, other entities.
Excuse me, Richard. Monsters?
Guests and UFOs. And other weird entities. But that includes stuff like a giant cat with human eyes that saved 2 kids from a paedophile, modern day dragon sightings and dragon worship cults, the ghost of Elvis Presley in Jarrow.
Jarrow?
Jarrow. Yeah. A giant ghost crab from South Africa, a ghost tree that haunted a former Doctor Who actor when he was a boy, Bigfoot turning up in the middle of poltergeist cases, or Jeff the Talking Mongoose. Also,
that one, yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
All, by its very nature, all 14 stories are weird, but Richard's got together the weirdest of the fucking
weirdest ones.
The Mince Pie Martians, 1979, January the 4th, 1979. My 9th birthday, Rowley Regis in the West Midlands. Some woman swears that a spaceship with a scorpion tail on it landed in her garden, and these little creatures came into her front room, and she offered them mince pies, and they look like weird little fairies in space helmets.
That's brilliant.
Right, guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you
Yes,
guys.
me as well, actually.
Go!
Okay,
Fly free, my pretty. Run free with your own kind.
Right, you lot. I will speak to you later. I've got to shoot.
Are you off as well? Oh, we're all going.
I've got to tuck Hazel in.
Anyway.
See you later.
I look forward to the next one.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Stream's not ending.
Uh-oh.